Hello, I'm Mantastic'c and Fantastic, and today I want to talk about the new evolutions and upgrades that has just gone live in North America. So, new evolutions and upgrades are always an exciting time because it gives us the opportunity to potentially use an older card that may have been forgotten and is possibly more relevant at this point in time. At this exact moment, we have a new evolution for Nut, and you could say it's a little nuts, so to speak, because you gain a full blind resist and full jam resist, along with respectable personal damage of double 10 combo, and many of these L Awakenings. Now, L Awakenings I find are great when you have at least one on a given team because you're able to unlock the board on demand. And while Royal Oak does scale off L Awakenings, rows oftentimes tend to be a bit more effective because the entire team benefits from the row as opposed to only the owning card of the L benefiting from the L. But maybe in the future when L's get buffed a bit more, maybe you can make some arguments for like a more like true L Royal Oak team. And Nut would not be a bad option simply because of the 2 resists, and their active skill is a low 4-turn cooldown that gives you a board unlock, which is always helpful, changes the column to water so you're guaranteed to have activation, a movement time buff, and a 40% health heal. So it's not a bad active skill by any means, and the fact that it's a low cooldown means you can easily inherit over top of it. Furthermore, with skill boost plus, you could have 4 skill boosts, or maybe take VDP if you don't have a void damage void. So it's a reasonable card, but I don't know if I'm going to really truly be taking advantage of it overall. And then there are many buffs to many cards, and unfortunately Gung Ho is following this silly pattern of saying, look in game, we won't tell you things. So I think that is personally a little silly. Either way, we are going to now take a little look-see at the buffed cards. So I'm going to go into Discord and utilize Tsubaki Bot, and I pulled up all the cards preemptively so we can have a good time just like going through the cards and seeing what got buffed. So this host of buffs is primarily targeting various Godfest exclusives along with one farmable. And for Fagan Rai, in his true original form, you gain a bind immunity, which I guess is cool, and a skill bind resist, but I don't really recall a time when I'm really utilizing them as, like, you know, a sub. And for their evolved form, they gain a 10 combo instead of a 7 combo, so higher amounts of personal damage, and their active skill is now 8-turn cooldown, which gives you 4 turns of void damage void, and 4 turns of 2 times personal attack. So rainbow-based teams almost always need a way to deal with damage void because you're not going to be making a VDP, so you're either utilizing active skills like this or running the VDP latent. In addition to this active skill buff, which is long-lasting, their leader skill is now incredibly high when you think about it. They have immense bulk due to the fact that they're now giving benefits to dragons at a slightly higher amount of 2.2 as opposed to 2 times. So on paper, these numbers are great. They have auto follow-up attack, and the drawback is there's no bonus combos to take advantage of, you know, their bonus, like their big 10 combo awakening. So you can make the argument that I'll pair Fagan Rai with a dragon type leader, and maybe you can take advantage of this bulk. Maybe, but possibly the other forms may be a little bit more exciting. For their dark form, they have gained a TPA plus and the option of gaining a 10 combo super awakening, so that is obviously much higher damage compared to before. And their active skill gives you now 2 turns of 2 times attack for the individual cards, so they'll be hitting much harder, and you get a board unlock. So a board unlock is always a delightful time because you can basically guarantee yourself activation when it could have been possibly problematic otherwise. And then in addition to that, their leader skill has been buffed to being full 16 times effective health for devil and dragon types, but I don't know, like there are so many other like strong 16 times leaders, and you have to match 4 more connected dark, so you need to have a way to like guarantee orb generation, which technically they do on their own, but I'm not truly impressed with them as a leader overall. For their dark weapon assist, they gained a team HP awakening. That's pretty great because when I think about it, there are quite a few different like triple team HP awakenings, but many of them don't actually come with a way to, you know, give resist. So this can be quite meaningful, and the same thing's going to happen with their other form because they have now triple team HP and they still have the same 40% blind and 40% jammer resist. So this is quite a big buff overall when I think about it because there are many times where like I need bulk but I need some resist. So I feel like if I have extra Fagan Rise, I'm probably going to try and make various evolutions for these weapon assists for that reason. And if you are going to do that, do not skill them up. Leave them unskilled because there's a good chance you don't want this active skill as an inherit. It's nice as a base because it's easy to inherit over top of, but it's not high impact enough to be utilized as a weapon assist for the active skill. For Blue Fagan, they have gained a significant increase to their effective health, which is great for Quan, who has a big soft spot for Fagan Rai. And it is a color cross leader, so it's going to be quite challenging to play effectively, but with a bit more extra bulk and essentially unlimited damage overall, that can be quite nice. In terms of the Super Awakenings, I don't know if they're going to need the 5 attribute. Maybe in like Super Gravities, maybe it's going to be necessary, but at the same time, maybe it's not needed. I'm not quite sure. I don't really play this leader, but point of the matter is, they have essentially limitless attack multiplier scaling because the leader skill just utilizes any color cross. And with 7x6 boards and the fact that you gain +2 instead of +1 combos is quite a big deal. For their blue weapon assist, again, follows the same idea as having an extra team HP. So poison and blind resist, that's a pretty nice spread. I feel like I would like to make this one more as opposed to jammers, but again, as long as I get blind resist, I think blind resist tends to be the most important one to counter just because sticky blinds are way worse and a lot of things can unlock the board anyways. And again, don't skill it up if you're going to be utilizing it. And then their weapon assist originally didn't get any buffs, so like weapon assists are pretty good for Fagan Rai. Next is Zarag Core, and all their evolutions have received various upgrades. And in their base form, they now are an immense damage stick from an Awakenings multiplier point of view. They have double 10 combo, a 7 combo, and 2 attack while below 50%. This is an immense amount of personal damage, and while their attack stat isn't the absolute highest, the fact that they have 5 offensive Awakenings is quite meaningful, and the active skill does give them a personal attack multiplier bonus, which obviously makes their damage even higher. So in Super Gravity Dungeons, they can obviously hit much harder, but at the same time, do you need a 1 cooldown card that's going to be cutting your health? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe you can make arguments that follow-up attack can be utilized to use the Cloud and the Tape Latent to get rid of stuff if you play 7x6. As a leader, if you are utilizing Dragon-type cards and you match 2 or more Dark combos, you have great multipliers on paper. You get the auto follow-up attack. You lack the bonus combos to take advantage of that, but it's interesting to see that many leaders are now starting to push beyond the 16 times effective health barrier, so to speak. For their first of all form, they have still a large amount of personal damage with double 10 combo and now 4 TPAs along with a large attack stat, and their active skill is 2 turns of damage and attribute absorption cancellation. So again, these are types of mechanics we do need to bring in essentially every single dungeon, so having a way to overcome these 2 types of absorptions can be meaningful. Furthermore, the active skill gives them a 2-turn 5 times attack boost for all dark cards, and you unlock the board and create a full rainbow board with no hard orbs present. So if you're playing rainbow-based teams, this active skill can be potentially meaningful, along with the fact that it is essentially a 7-turn cooldown. And when you think about it, that 7-turn cooldown in conjunction with a board changer and absorption cancellation can be quite nice because it will come up on a regular basis. The Onin card themselves do have large personal damage, and they do come with 6 skill boosts. So it's pretty good spread overall for Awakening. So again, I feel like this is a card many people have owned at least for a prolonged period of time. And if you are utilizing rainbow teams and you don't have a strong absorption cancellation, this could be something to possibly keep in mind. Amusing fact is, because no hard orbs are made, LJ Kitty teams technically don't really mind because they heal anyways. For a leader skill, you have to utilize dragon types, and you have to match 6 or more combos, which should always be done, and then you get basically an easy to use multiplier. Like all you have to do is hit 6 or more combos. Like I think that like threshold is one of the lowest possible, and you get large amounts of auto follow attack. You can pair with someone who gets bonus combos, and it should be quite easy to activate. So pretty nice in terms of like having an easy to use leader, I feel. Whoops, we have a lot more Zarag cores to go through. We're getting a little excited there. For green Zarag core, their active skill is now 5 instead of 6 turns, along with the fact that their leader skill has improved the attack multiplier, but I'm not truly impressed with it. Their Super Awakening now gives them a 4 attribute awakening, so they can deal significantly more damage, which again is great for rainbow teams, and is a 5-turn cooldown that gives 2 turns of void, damage, void. So pretty good value overall when you think about it. So again, for rainbow-based teams, maybe this could be helpful. These these enhanced wood combos are probably going to be a little bit redundant, but again, maybe they might take a little bit of effect if your team happens to be quite wood heavy. But again, it's a nice void, damage void option for your rainbow-based teams that have a reasonably low cooldown. And their weapon assist for the green form, and in all honesty, the weapon assist for the Zaerogs are pretty magical, because now the weapon assist for the green Zaerog is a skill boost and 100% poison resist and a blind resist. Now, I would probably not want to skill this up unless you actually want the void damage void. So this is quite a powerful weapon assist when I think about it, because it's 100% poison resist with that skill boost. So even just that alone is great. 20% blind might be helpful. And this active skill, depending on the type of team you're running, might actually be helpful potentially. Obviously, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot, so to speak, by like giving yourself no Skyfalls for 10 turns, but maybe you just don't leave it skilled up and then you just enjoy the weapon assist for the awakenings. For light Zarag Core, their active skill has again been improved from 5 to 4 turns, and again, they are a respectable rainbow-oriented card, and they have a 5 attribute awakening and 3 attribute awakenings and a monstrously large attack stat. So their personal damage is quite high overall. They have poison resist, they give you 2 seconds of orb movement time, and the active skill unlocks the whole board, changes the board to fire, water, wood, light, dark, and heart. So a full rainbow board changer, and then if your health is below 50%, you get 2 turns of damage absorption cancellation. So if you are able to juggle your health effectively, or you have ways to cut your health with other types of active skills, you can have access to a 4-turn cooldown damage absorption cancellation. And of course, depending on the type of dungeon you're playing through, this could actually be quite meaningful. And one thing I want to stress is that he does hit hard. So sometimes like your damage absorption cancellation cards don't actually deal damage. Zarag Core is going to be quite happy. Furthermore, even if you're not below half health, you still get the board changer with the orb unlock. And with a 4-turn base cooldown, you are able to inherit something over top of it that can give you more value immediately, and then you can potentially just ride out the base cooldown afterwards. Again, for dragon and attacker types, they have large amounts of effective health, and they just need to match water, light, and dark. So 3 specific colors, which may or may not be a little tricky unless you have ways to guarantee yourself activation. But if you're a dragon attacker type, you technically have a large amount of effective health. But with that being said, I'm probably more interested in their weapon assist, because it's a skill boost, 100% blind resist, and a jammer resist. So again, kind of like their green weapon assist form, huge amounts of resistance value with that skill boost. And again, if I leave this active skill not skilled up, I don't have to worry about it overcharging if I don't want this active skill. So as a whole, an incredibly powerful weapon assist. And then finally, Zaerog Infinity's last weapon assist has been buffed to a 13-turn cooldown. 20 turns was outrageous. Now it's 13. And you get 2 turns of 10 times attack for dragons, 2 turns of 10 times attack for the owning card. So if this card's a dragon-type card, their damage is going to go absolutely through the roof. And then it gets 2 turns of haste. So 2 turns of haste is always nice. And then the weapon assist also gives you 2 TPAs and an enhanced dark combo awakening. So any TPA-oriented team can obviously take quite large advantage of this weapon assist, because you can haste up your leaders to transform them, swap them into position, and the owning card gains a monstrous amount of damage output. So this weapon assist I kind of forgot about for quite a while, but I might start actually using it again because it suddenly became much more relevant. For Mieda, their base form gets a buff when they transform to have now a 10 combo instead of 4 7s. So larger personal damage. Their attack stat has been greatly bolstered as well, so immense amounts of damage, but of course as a transforming card it does get capped out pretty hard, but in super gravity dungeons it may not necessarily be a terrible choice. And then their active skill is a 2-turn cooldown that gives you movement time, 2 times attack for the owning card, a board unlock, and then 6 water orbs over non-hard orbs. So that's actually a respectively strong orb generating active skill, and they are technically a 7x6 card when you enter a dungeon. So if you are trying to utilize leader swaps, Mieda may not be a bad choice. They also give you 3 turns of delay if they charge up at the 18 turns, but they do give no skill boost. But it can be a possible option if you're trying to utilize 7x6 swapping. Mieda may be not a bad choice overall. And it's a low cooldown once they transform, so it's easy to get orbs flowing, and you can technically inherit over top of it if you needed another type of active skill. For their light form, they have gained access to a Never mind, they always had that before. They didn't get any more Super Awakenings. But their active skill is now 2 turns of increasing combo count by 2. So yay, more combos. But they're really just more so a full cleric active skill because you get no Skyfalls, which could overwrite other no Skyfall debuffs, but you get a full unmatchable clear and all bind awoken bind clear. So not a bad cleric by any means, but nothing special at the same time, I feel. Like respectable damage, a large recovery stat, like it's okay, but I feel like more value can be found in their weapon assist because the weapon assist is still a full cleric active skill, so you can safely inherit this over top of your own cleric, and if it overcharges, it's okay. You still got the same active skill you're trying to get. But the big advantage now comes from the fact that it gained a 3 attribute awakening in the weapon assist. So the owning card just gained 2.5 times personal damage, an attacker killer which may or may not be relevant, and it still has the 60% poison resist. So I think this weapon assist is definitely quite powerful for rainbow-based teams. There are not too many ways to add damage on top of, like there's not too many of these style of offensive awakenings for the most part, so I find them at least kind of rare. So I'm quite inclined to make this weapon assist because it's going to be a great choice on top of my clerics when, I just want more damage from them. So pretty nice weapon assist in that aspect there. For Dark Mieda, their leader skill has been buffed, but the leader skill is just not something truly magical. Maybe if you're just starting out, actually never mind, if you're just starting out, you're probably not going to get the gem to evolve them, unfortunately. So not too much excitement there aside from getting a 3 attribute awakening and their super awakenings, but it's their weapon assist again that's I think more interesting. They gain a 3 attribute awakening in addition to the 40% skill bind resist and 60% blind resist. So again, the owning card does gain a significant amount of damage, but the drawback is the active skill is not quite as zesty. It's just a unlock and a full board changer to all attributes and hearts. So actually it doesn't even make light orbs, so it's just like it's an okay thing. But I feel like the light weapon assist is more interesting because it can overcharge and the attacker killer might be useful. Most teams have enough skill bind resist, so I'm not as inclined to pursue that. For their red form, the active skill has been buffed, and technically their leader skill is buffed, but I feel like just using them as a leader swap is not so great, and it's more so for their weapon assist. Because their weapon assist has gained the same amount of value overall, because it's the same active skill, because it's a leader swap active skill that makes this card now the leader, and for 9 turns you get 2 times of orb movement time, 9 turns of 2 times RCV, and 9 turns 2 times attack for fire. So it is a full spectrum of buffs. That's pretty great because there are definitely going to be instances where, like, early on in the dungeon, you get hit by a myriad of various debuffs. And being able to swap yourself into position and completely override all of those and give yourself 9 turns of happiness is pretty great overall. As far as, like, weapon assist leader swapping options go, I think this one is quite exciting overall. Like, tape resist is nice, 40% poison, you gained a whole extra second of movement time. It's a pretty nice weapon assist if you are leader swapping, just because the buffs can make your life much easier for those next 9 turns. And then finally for their... This is not available, I'm just kidding. Anywho, going to now Artorius. So Artorius has now been buffed into a leader that has significantly more effective health. They also have an extra 10 combo awakening, so extremely high damage output. Their active skill post-transforming is going to give you 15% bonus damage for every fire row, and changing dark to fire, water to heal. And then their leader skill has now been buffed to being potentially 19.75 times effective health, but the drawback is you have to utilize 34 or less rarity cards. So rarity-wise, there are already 8 rarities, so you don't have too much wiggle room, so to speak. Now, one thing that is nice is the fact that super reincarnated cards are only 6-star rarity base, so you can possibly get away with like slotting in those types of cards to, make sure you have less rarity on your team overall. But for the most part, I feel like I'd be just really interested in waiting for their weapon assist, which hasn't come out yet, but it will come out eventually. And the weapon assist gives you a fire sub-attribute, a 7 combo, and 2 rows. So it's pretty powerful in that aspect overall. And then the active skill is still nice. You get 100% damage reduction for 1 turn, and then 7 turns of 5 times damage for that card. So this is not available yet, but I feel like that's going to be the form I would be most happy to utilize. And then finally, for the last buff is the farmable Zaerog Infinity. I remember farming Zaerog Infinity years and years ago, and it was incredibly challenging when it first came out, and having 1 max skilled, or 2 because you could have it looping, was like a real achievement. Now, Zaerog Infinity obviously has lost so much of his luster compared to before, but amusingly enough, they still hit reasonably hard with double 10 combo, 2 TPAs, and potentially a 7 combo awakening, along with 4 Dark Orb enhances. And the active, well, their stats are actually pretty big when you think about it. 10,000 health, 4,000, yeah, those are actually pretty big stats for a farmable. The active skill is now 7 turns of Dark Orb Skyfall buff at 15%, and then 1 turn of haste. And then the leader skill technically is a huge scaling multiplier, because when you match up to, well, 2 to 5 dark combos, you gain more and more attack multiplier. And if you're physical dragon or devil, technically you can have some bulk, but no shielding, no bonus combos, no attack, auto follow-up attack. I feel like it's just like, this is a cool card for a farmable, but I'm not quite sure where I'm going to truly utilize them. But with that being said, that brings us to the end of all the buffs and evolutions for this update. Now, I would obviously love to let know what you, ladies and gentlemen, think are the most exciting ones, but I feel like weapon assists get me most excited because, like, the Zaerog weapon assists are pretty cool overall, even the Fagan Rai ones as well. Like, the weapon assists are pretty nice. But with that being said, let me know what you, ladies and gentlemen, think is the most exciting aspect of this update in the comment section down below. But regardless of all that, hopefully you all have a truly fantastic day. I wish you the best luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.